Goose-Girl, the king of a great land, passed away, and the queen was left to take care of their only child. This child was a beautiful daughter. Her mother loved her very much and was always kind to her. There was also a good fairy who liked the princess and helped the queen watch over her. When the princess grew up, she was promised in marriage to a prince who lived far, far away. When it was almost time for the wedding, she got ready to travel to his country. Her mother, the queen, packed many special things for her. There were jewels, gold, and silver. She packed pretty dresses and everything a princess would need. The queen also gave her a helper girl to ride with her and take her to the prince. Each girl had a horse for the journey. The princess's horse was a special gift from the fairy. His name was Falada, and he could talk. When it was time to leave, the fairy went to the princess's room. She took a small, special pair of scissors and snipped off a little lock of her own hair. She gave it to the princess and said, "Keep this safe, dear child. It's like a good luck charm and might help you on your journey." Then, everyone said a sad goodbye to the princess. She carefully tucked a lock of hair inside her dress, climbed onto her horse Falada, and started her journey to the prince's kingdom. One day, they were riding near a little stream, and the princess felt very thirsty. She said to her helper, "Please get down and bring me some water from the stream in my golden cup. I really need a drink." "No," said the helper rudely. "If you're thirsty, get down yourself and drink from the water. I'm not going to be your helper anymore." The princess was so thirsty that she got down from her horse. She knelt by the little stream and drank the cool water. She felt a little worried and didn't use her golden cup. She started to cry softly and said, "Oh dear, what will happen to me now?" And the little lock of hair hidden in her dress answered her softly, oh dear, if your mother knew, she would be so sad for you." But the princess was very gentle and kind, so she didn't say anything about her helper's unkindness. She just got back on her horse. They rode on farther, but the day got very warm and the sun felt very hot. The princess started to feel thirsty again. When they reached a river, she forgot how rude her helper had been and said, "Please get down and bring me some water to drink in my golden cup." But the helper answered her even more rudely than before, "Drink if you want to, but I am not your helper." The princess was so thirsty that she got off her horse again. She lay down near the river and dipped her head close to the flowing water. She cried and said, "Oh dear, what will happen now?" And the lock of hair answered her again, oh dear, if your mother knew, she would be so sad for you." As she leaned down to drink, the special lock of hair slipped from inside her dress and floated away on the water. The princess was worried and didn't see it go, but her helper saw it float away. The helper was happy because she knew the lock of hair was special magic. She thought that now the princess had lost it, she could boss the princess around. So when the princess finished drinking and went to get back on Falada, the helper said, "I will ride Falada now. You can ride my horse instead." The princess didn't know what else to do, so she had to give her wonderful horse to the helper. Soon after that, the helper made the princess take off her royal clothes and put on the helper's plain ones. Finally, as they got close to the end of their journey, the tricky helper warned the princess not to tell anyone what had happened. She threatened, "If you tell anyone, I will say it's not true, and they might not believe you are the real princess." But Falada, the wise horse, saw everything and remembered it all. Then the helper girl got onto Falada, and the real princess rode the other horse. They continued like this until they arrived at the royal castle. Everyone was happy to see them arrive. The prince rushed out to meet them. He lifted the helper girl down from Falada, thinking she was the princess he was going to marry. She was led upstairs to the fancy royal rooms. But the true princess was told to wait outside in the courtyard. Now, the old king, the prince's father, happened to have some free time. He sat by his window, looking out at the courtyard. He saw the real princess standing there. She looked very pretty and gentle, not like a helper girl at all. So the king went upstairs to the royal rooms. He asked the girl, pretending to be the princess, "Who is that girl you brought with you, the one left standing in the courtyard?" "Oh, I just brought her for company on the journey," said the tricky helper. "Please find some work for her to do so she isn't standing around." The old king thought for a moment. "Well," he said finally, "I have a boy who takes care of my geese. She can go and help him." The name of the boy who looked after the king's geese was Curdkin. But the false princess went to the prince and said, "Dear husband-to-be, please do me one small favor." "Of course," said the prince. "Please tell your helpers to take the horse I rode here, Falada, far away to the fields. He was quite tricky and bothered me on the journey." But really, she was afraid that Falada might talk and tell everyone what she had done to the real princess. She got her way, and the kind horse, Falada, was led away. When the true princess heard about this, she felt very sad. She missed her friend Falada. She found the head horsekeeper and asked him, "Could you please put a little reminder of Falada near the big city gate? I have to pass through there every morning and evening, and I would like to remember him." The horsekeeper felt sorry for her and said he would. So he placed a special, shiny carving that looked just like Falada's head up high near the big city gate as a magical reminder. Early the next morning, as the princess and Curdkin went through the big city gate with the geese, she looked up sadly and said, "Falada, Falada, there you are." And the magical carving answered, "Princess, princess, passing through. Oh dear, if your mother knew, she would be so sad for you." Then they went out of the city and led the geese to the fields. When she got to the meadow, the princess sat down on the grass. She let down her beautiful long hair, which shone like moonlight. When Curdkin saw her amazing hair shining in the sun, he ran up wanting to touch the shiny strands. But she quickly said, "Blow, wind, blow. Make Curdkin's hat go. Blow, wind, blow. Make him chase it high and low. Over hills and fields it flies, while I comb my hair that shines." Then a strong wind suddenly blew. It lifted Curdkin's hat right off his head. Away it flew over the hills. He had to turn and run after it. By the time he finally got his hat back, the princess had finished combing and brushing her lovely hair and had put it back up neatly. Curdkin was very cross and pouted. He wouldn't speak to her at all. They watched the geese together until it got dark, and then they led them home. The next morning, as they were going through the big city gate again, the poor girl looked up at the carving of Falada's head and said sadly, "Falada, Falada, there you are." And the head answered, "Princess, princess passing through. Oh dear, if your mother knew, she would be so sad for you." Then she led the geese on and sat down in the meadow again. She began to comb out her beautiful hair as before. Curdkin ran up to her again, wanting to get a closer look at her hair. But she quickly cried out, "Blow, wind, blow. Make Curdkin's hat go. Blow, wind, blow. Make him chase it high and low. Over hills and fields it flies, while I comb my hair that shines." Then the wind came again and blew his hat away. Off it flew, way over the hills and far away. He had to run after it for a long time. When he came back, she had tied up her hair again, and it was all safe. So they watched the geese until it grew dark. In the evening, after they came home, Curdkin went to the old king. "I don't want that new girl helping me with the geese anymore," he grumbled. "Why not?" asked the king. Because she doesn't help much. She just teases me all day long. Then the king asked him to tell him what had happened. Curdkin explained, when we go through the big city gate in the morning with the geese, she cries and talks to a horse's head carving on the wall. She says, Falada, Falada, there you are. And the head answers, Princess, Princess, passing through. Oh dear, if your mother knew, she would be so sad for you. Curdkin went on telling the king what happened in the meadow where the geese grazed. He told him how his hat was blown away and how he had to run after it, leaving the geese all alone. But the old king told the boy to go out again with the girl the next day. When morning came, the king hid near the big city gate. He heard the girl speak to the Falada carving, and he heard the carving answer. Then the king went to the field and hid behind a bush near the meadow. He soon saw with his own eyes how they looked after the geese. He saw how, after a little while, she let down her amazing hair that glittered in the sun. And then he heard her say, Blow, wind, blow, make Curdkin's hat go. Blow, wind, blow, make him chase it high and low. O'er hills and fields it flies, while I comb my hair that shines. And soon a strong wind came and carried away Curdkin's hat. Away went Curdkin chasing after it, while the girl calmly went on combing and brushing her hair. The old king saw it all. He went home quietly without anyone seeing him. When the little Goose-Girl came back in the evening, the king called her aside. He kindly asked her why she did these things, but she burst into tears and said, Oh, I must not tell you or anyone. If I do, the helper girl promised she would say it's not true and make trouble. But the old king asked her gently, again and again. He was so kind that she finally felt safe enough to tell him the whole story, from the beginning to the end, word for word. And it was very lucky for her that she did. When she finished, the king ordered beautiful, royal clothes to be brought for her. He looked at her with amazement. She was so beautiful. Then he called his son, the prince. He told him that the girl he thought was the princess was really just a helper girl. The true princess was standing right there. The young prince was very happy when he saw her beauty and heard how gentle and kind she had been through everything. Without saying anything yet to the false bride, the king ordered a big, wonderful feast to be prepared for everyone at the castle. At the feast, the prince sat at the head of the table. The false princess sat on one side, and the true princess sat on the other. Nobody recognized the true princess now. Her beauty was sparkling, and in her brilliant dress, she looked nothing like the little Goose-Girl. When they had eaten and drunk and were feeling happy, the old king said he would tell them a story. So he began, and he told the whole story of the princess's journey and the tricky helper, just as the Goose-Girl had told him. He told it as if it was just an interesting tale he had heard once. When he finished, he looked at the helper girl, the false bride, and asked, Now, tell us, what happens to someone who would trick and treat another person so unkindly? The false bride didn't know the king was talking about her. She started to say, well, someone like that, thinking only of herself. But the old king stopped her gently. My dear, he said, looking straight at her, you are the one who did all those unkind things. Telling mean stories isn't the answer. Instead, you must leave this kingdom and go far away. Perhaps there you can think about how to be fair, truthful, and kind to others. And so the helper girl was sent away to learn her lesson. Then the young prince was married to his true princess. They ruled over the kingdom together in peace and happiness for all their lives. And guess what? The good fairy came to visit them. She smiled, waved her sparkly wand, and brought the faithful horse Falada back, happy and well, to live with the princess he loved.